WWE Universe. We just witnessed one of the biggest moments in recent Raw history. Something that should go down the record books as totally unpredictable, as totally record setting. If you did not see Monday Night Raw last night, there is one specific moment that I want you to watch over and over and over and over again, so that you understand why that moment is so freaking great. Seth Rollins was not on Raw last night. Brock Lesnar was not on Raw last night. I am not talking about the Goldberg. No. I'm not talking about the Goldberg segment with Kevin Owens. But you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Roman Reigns got beaten, bro. Roman Reigns got beat by Samoa frickin' Joe. By the way, thank you, Braun Strowman. Again, I'm not going to be doing any of those music intros for today. I'm going to get straight into the review and also other news that I'm talking about. Man, I'm extremely busy, and here's the thing about it. I don't want to abandon YouTube, and I'm not going to as long as I can continue to do this. If I have to make 10-minute reviews, 5-minute reviews, I'll do that. As long as there's something out there for you guys during that day. And today is the Raw review. Today is talking about Samoa Joe. Man, didn't the guy shed some light at the end of the tunnel? There's hope, guys. There's hope. That's what his presence made me feel like. You know, there's a new vibe on Monday Night Raw after I saw Samoa Joe, to be honest. The guy looks great. Looks freaking slick. You know, here's the thing. The guy came out in a suit. I understand it now. I don't have an issue with it, but the guy is an absolutely, destroyer. He comes out in a suit and in typical heel fashion hugs Stephanie McMahon. I think that it should have just gone with him coming out in his regular clothes, signing the sheet, and he could have possibly, the contract. And I would love to see the angle turn and possibly have Samoa Joe even attack Mick Foley, because Mick Foley was actually, also sort of not happy with Samoa Joe being on Raw. If you really want to establish dominance with Joe, I would do what, something like that he did to Seth Rollins. Now, later in the night, when he did face Roman Reigns, he attacked Roman Reigns from the back, which is a good way of doing it, not to make it so simple, to at least make it somewhat different, and, to have, Samoa Joe capitalize on that, and his character is working, growing perfectly at this point, and along with him taking the win against Roman Reigns. I obviously knew that Braun Strowman was going to actually possibly, interfere in this because what happened last week. But with Samoa Joe actually winning this match, it was very interesting because at the end, Braun Strowman kicked Roman Reigns' ass as well, and Roman Reigns was left lying. And there's obviously some way that WWE is going to come up next week to freaking catapult Roman Reigns to the fucking roof again. They're going to do it. But anyways, the debut, well, that was the Raw debut last week, but this week was the actual debut of Samoa Joe yesterday with his match. It was well done. Was it extremely well done? No, it wasn't. It was well done. The guy comes out in a suit. I'm pretty sure that's a Vince thing as well. Walking out there, hugging Stephanie McMahon, pissing on the faces. That's the typical heel in WWE, right? This guy should act almost as if he's like a Brock Lesnar. Because that's who the guy really can be compared to in terms of legitimacy and fighting style into WWE. The guy is a hired mercenary, missionary by Triple H, and really the only orders he should take is from Triple H. Now, since Stephanie is obviously his wife, he respects that too. He respects that relationship and also respects Stephanie. But he's respecting Stephanie is fine. I don't even know if you would have wanted Stephanie McMahon out there. Obviously, you would have because she is the commissioner. But man, it really they could have done it other ways. And signing a contract was obviously per storyline was obviously Stephanie McMahon's idea because the heel and the heel, right? So I think the way they did it, maybe if they would have done this with somebody else on NXT, I don't know if I would have reacted the way I did, but I was perfectly fine because the guy's Samoa Joe, man. The guy makes everything look absolutely great, and so Samoa Joe debuting on Monday Night Raw, facing Roman Reigns, kicking Roman Reigns' ass, freaking kicking him in the back of his neck, and suplexing him, finishing him off. 1, 2, 3. The guy looked dominant. And if WWE continues to book Samoa Joe the way they did last night, he will for sure become a dominant heel and a dominant monster in the WWE. Could you imagine Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman? Oh man, those two guys are the monsters on Monday Night Raw. They are the big men on Monday Night Raw. Big Show is just slow. That person, along with Mark Henry, along with these guys, they are not the big guys anymore. Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman, these guys are legitimate. And Samoa Joe, I mean, they even put over him as like this huge threat and a heavy guy. As when Roman Reigns was trying to Samoan drop him, he couldn't pick him up. The guy was massive. Great. That tip, I love that tip. I love that little ounce of effort put in there, because each little effort that you put in, it makes a difference, and that really does make a difference. And it's very good that you guys are actually trying this. I'm talking to WWE, by the way. I hope that they understand what they've done with Samoa Joe, that he is legitimately the hottest thing right now on Raw. That's what people watch for. When you see the ratings that come out this Wednesday, I'm pretty sure they are going to be high. I don't know if they'll be higher than SmackDown, but they have a good chance of being higher than SmackDown, and they also have a good chance of being higher than they have been all this year. And it's been like over a month now, and the ratings have been not so good to average. They could go above average this time, and that was because Samoa Joe debuted and he actually won. Now here's the thing: if WWE, if Roman Reigns wasn't booked the way he always has been to beat everybody, people would have thought that there would have been an equal chance between both of these guys. But people didn't expect Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe to happen on the first night, and people automatically, once they saw the first segment, they said, "All right, who cares about this show?" Right? Because it looks like Roman Reigns is going to win anyways. And so I'm pretty sure a lot of them, tuned out when they wanted to tune out. Right? They didn't stay for the full 3 hours, which they normally don't. But if you did, you obviously got your time's worth, because you didn't pay money for this, so no money's worth, but you got your time's worth, and you did see Samoa Joe win. Hopefully, people cared enough for Samoa Joe to actually see his match and saw what happened. So therefore, the ratings should be a bit higher this Monday Night Raw. I thought that was pretty much the biggest thing on Raw, along with Goldberg and Kevin Owens, who the segment was well done. Kevin Owens came out with Chris Jericho, and they were talking back and forth about the Universal title. Chris Jericho was also talking about both those guys are the main event for WrestleMania, KO Mania 2 and stuff. Goldberg comes out and says, "You know what? I'm going to say yes to Brock Lesnar," but he also says that Kevin Owens, you have nobody on the Fastlane card to face, so why don't you face me? Because I want a title to I want a chance at the Universal title, and also have a possibility of doing it one more time. Like Stephanie said, that do you have one more title run in you? Remember when Goldberg came out and said that to the universe? It seems as if Goldberg came out here and said, "You know what? I do have one more title run. I want it against you, Owens." He's going to be facing Owens at Fastlane. This was already rumored, bro. It was reported to happen many weeks ago. Before it was starting to get rumored. Not even probably, I guess, the beginning of this year. I wanted to say the Royal Rumble, but the Royal Rumble was like a week ago. Like in the beginning of January, this was being reported big time. And Goldberg is expected to win the title, and it seems as if Brock Lesnar will win the title from Goldberg. We will not see Goldberg for if that's the way they're going. I don't think we'll see Goldberg for a little while, but there has been reports that Goldberg is scheduled for live events in the UK with the title. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that, but they were reporting that Brock Lesnar will win at WrestleMania the Universal title, and it only makes sense that he beats Goldberg now since it's for the Universal title. You also want to know why the Universal title is actually being part of this match. It's because they want to bring up the prestige of the title because it has none right now. They're trying to create some legacy behind the title, and to have two top guys lock up for that title, it creates more interest in that match. And so, if you have like a big guy like Brock Lesnar holding it, I understand why they're doing that, because right now the Kevin Owens run is brutal. He's not really being treated well, and it's a good move on WWE. Technically, they should have honestly done something better with Kevin Owens. The guy has so much potential, but you just can't grab that brass string. Now, can you, Vince? Aha. Twisting the joke on you now. How do you like that? Stupid bitch. All right. In terms of everything else for Raw, I don't really want to do a review. Why? It's because I'm getting fed up with these reviews. There really is nothing much that I really care about on Raw. I honestly fell asleep during the Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn match. Not because it was boring, because I was fucking passed out. Right? I was done. And, so, like I saw on YouTube the Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns match, which was obviously, it was a great match that they put on, a good Raw match, a good debut for Samoa Joe, a good way of booking it. You had the Sasha Banks and Charlotte segment backstage. I think I kind of liked the way that Charlotte went about it, where she said, excuse me, where she said, that I thought Roadblock End of the Line was just a pay-per-view name, not the end of your career. Where they were going back and forth about the injury to Sasha Banks in the trainer's room. It was pretty interesting with the backstage segment there. You had the Cruiserweights, who apparently are now getting a fatal 5-way match on the 205 Live tonight. And I'll be getting to that and the SmackDown review, or preview, not the review yet, but the preview as well. But, that was a really weird way of going about it, because I guess Rich Swann is out, right? So they had to do something in terms of who's the next contender. This will certainly put some people to watch, 205 Live, hopefully, because I think it needs a boost, and I think this could potentially do something. Unless if you have like a major title match against two established guys like Neville, who's established as his top heel, who people will watch, and even Jack Gallagher. If you have this guy to possibly develop himself a little bit more. Jack Gallagher, in terms of babyface, gets the biggest pop, and it's not huge, but it's the biggest pop out of all the cruiserweights whenever he steps into that ring, whether it's on Raw or 205 Live. And here's a couple of reasons why. Number one, the guy's character works well for him. You've seen that at the Cruiserweight Classic. The guy was tying people in knots, and they couldn't do anything. In terms of Raw and 205 Live, the guy brings out an umbrella. The guy does, comedy skits with Arya Daivari, right, on 205 Live. And the guy was at the Royal Rumble, right? He is the comedy guy that people love, and he's going to grow into that because people always get behind those kinds of people. Neville's a very good heel. I think why people don't really, give a shit that much is because he wasn't at this top level before. I think he still needs some time. I think they need to give the cruiserweights a little bit more freedom so that they can, establish themselves and become over with the crowd, because I understand why guys like, if you compare people like Samoa Joe, why is this guy a top heel, sort of like Neville, and why is he more over than, Neville? It's because he gets those main event title shots. He gets to be himself and portray a guy who he really can portray well. Neville's doing the same. It's going to take what it's going to do, it's going to take time for him to develop, because he just started that. But the cruiserweight, the name of the cruiserweight division, like when that name brings out a an unover vibe. They're not over, is what I'm trying to say. And when people think about that, they're like, "What? Oh, okay." They don't have a reaction to it. That's the only downside, man. So him being involved in that, if you had like freaking Brock Lesnar cut down 100 pounds and go to the Cruiserweight Classic or even 205 Live at this point, and win the Universal or the Cruiserweight title, not the Universal title, have him win both, and maybe the Cruiserweights may go somewhere at that point. This is just an idea. Please, WWE, don't do this. I'm just joking. Can never trust these motherfuckers on this these days. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm just looking for some other matches that happened on Raw. We had I can't speak. Akira Tozawa, who beat Drew Gulak. Let me think about this. I don't even remember seeing this match. I'm not sure if this was the match that happened after Jericho and Zayn. But to be honest, I cannot remember this match at all. Yeah, I can't remember this match at all. But here's the thing: after debuting on 205 Live, Akira Tozawa wrestled his first match on Raw in one of the strangest cruiserweight bouts in months. The crowd were actually into it, and Tozawa is great, especially when he makes the ha and noise, and it also went to the average 5 minutes though. Yeah, because apparently to build a guy, you have to make him look dominant. So literally squash another guy. Do the cruiserweight guys look like they can squash somebody? Yes, they can squash themselves in terms of, each other. But do you think they're legitimately able to squash people? I mean, look at Brock Lesnar. Look at Goldberg. A guy like him squashes Lesnar. He can squash anybody then. But a guy like Akira Tozawa who squashes Drew Gulak, the guy's Drew Gulak. At this point, who knows him? Right? He's not an established guy. He's not a threat. Right? Try squashing Brock Lesnar. How about that? Try squashing Goldberg, That's a different story. Cruiserweights should not be meant to be booked as guys who squash others. They need to be booked. I told you this. I don't care how much you guys want to say, no, it has to be booked the way WWE wants, or it's storytelling. It's storytelling. No, fuck you. You don't understand. Cruiserweights are meant to be high-flying indie guys. That's it. That's all it is. And I'm never going to go away from that because I think that's the truth. Jericho did beat Sami Zayn. And, the Canadian Sami Zayn got a shot at the Universal... No. He got the shot at the United States Championship. He can never, ever get a shot at the Universal title, according to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. A super kick from the Canadian Kevin Owens, while the referee's back was turned, helped give Canadian Chris Jericho the win. Why the fuck are you guys saying Canadian? For this one time where I'm not using Bleacher Report, and I'm using some fucking website called FlickeringMyth.com, do you seriously have to be... mentioning that the guy's Canadian? You fucking Americans. The best friends are back together, and they're going to be celebrating with a festival of friendship on next week's Raw. Now, Neville's number one contender, which we talked about, Samoa Joe, who beat Roman Reigns, and the contract signing at the beginning was perfectly done. I would again say that the guy should have came out in terms of, in a more death-defying way instead of the way Kevin Owens came out after he won the Universal title. It seems like that's where they're going, and I really, really hope that they understand who they have with Samoa Joe. Now, Seth Rollins, here's the big announcement with Seth Rollins. The promised big announcement on Seth Rollins' re-injured knee was that there wasn't much of one. This is what Flickering Myth is reporting. I've always said this, and I will continue to say this. This is a work. Reports are saying, excuse me, I just freaking ate something and I got stuff in my throat that I can't speak properly. Keep burping. Anyways, Samoa Joe, who attacked Seth Rollins last week, it looked like, it felt like a work at first. Then people did escalate to saying that it's not a work. Here's the thing about this. The reports were saying that Seth Rollins is able to compete at WrestleMania. He will be good. Here's actually something that the Dave Metzler revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio. He said that Seth Rollins is considered good for WrestleMania. Triple H and Seth Rollins is on. That's why they're working towards, or that's what they're working towards, and maybe that's why they didn't tip their hand. They are going with the idea that this match is still on and that he'll be ready for WrestleMania. So here's the thing. They just showed Rollins' tweet from last week, confirmed, that it was an MCL tear because of Samoa Joe's attack, and that his WrestleMania 33 status was in serious doubt, which we kind of knew already. Thankfully, Dave Messler was there to fill in the blanks. We also have PW Insider, who have reported that Rollins wasn't backstage at Raw last night because he did fly back to Alabama for another visit with Dr. James Andrews, which Mike Johnson speculated is not a positive sign. These flying back and forth things, these are what sort of make me think that this was not a work, because, it seems as if, they wouldn't really be lying to the fans a lot. The fans would catch up. I mean, these reporting sites are really good at this stuff, and they would have caught if Seth Rollins was even going to the rehab center anyways, if it wasn't a work, But it seems like, or if it was a work, but it seems like it's not really a work. But I'm going to stay on the fact that it is, and let's see where this goes. Let's see if Seth Rollins does come back and fools everybody, or if he does come back and doesn't mention anything at all. That's the news on Seth Rollins. Apparently that was something that we didn't know. I don't know, I read this article. It pretty much said what WWE didn't reveal about Seth Rollins' injury on Raw. Apparently it was absolutely everything that we already knew. So really, there was nothing new you had to tell me, Flickering Myth. I didn't get off this fucking website. Let's go to Inquestier.com. In terms of your Raw review, that's pretty much it. We got major plans revealed. As you know, that Kevin Owens and Goldberg feud is starting to continue. We got news on that. On Raw, the Universal title was, challenged to be on the line by Goldberg, and Goldberg is now going to be facing Kevin Owens. It's rumored for weeks now that, all up until Monday Night Raw, that Goldberg would be featured in the main event of WWE Fastlane, and now it's going to happen. It seems like that will happen. The only question was if WWE officials will be willing to give the Universal title to Goldberg before WrestleMania 33. Apparently the answer is an emphatic yes. Yes, he will. Okay? Fucking shit. Recently, Goldberg revealed that he would be on Raw, and, appearing on Raw and on WWE programming if WWE put the Universal title on his shoulder, especially if he's the world champion heading into WrestleMania. What an egomaniacal motherfucker, isn't he? Whatever. Jericho and Owens has been imminent for months now, and most of the WWE Universe is surprised that their feud has not begun yet. It's going to culminate big time at Fastlane. I'm not surprised that it hasn't begun yet. We have a full 2 months before WrestleMania. Things are sparking up. This Goldberg is like a catalyst again between this Owens and Chris Jericho, tear up between each other. And, again, if it says right here, the rivalry between Jericho and Owens doesn't need the title, especially considering Y2J is holding the United States Championship. On Raw, Jericho accepting the match with Goldberg on Owens' behalf is clearly going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because Owens will be able to blame losing the title on Jericho. Perfect storytelling. From Jericho and Owens will culminate in Orlando at WrestleMania, but the rivalry between them can be built in many different ways. The feud with Goldberg will be different because he is the most dominant force in WWE right now. After embarrassing Brock Lesnar twice, Kevin Owens is going to avoid Goldberg at all costs over the next month, but how WWE books the match between them is going to be very important. According to a recent report, WWE officials are planning for Goldberg versus Owens at the Fastlane pay-per-view to have a very similar result to Goldberg and Lesnar at Survivor Series a few months ago. Now, first it was Brock Lesnar. That was a surprise. If this were to happen again, you literally just buried the guy who was Universal Champion, who beat 4 or 3 other guys on Raw to win that, who also was in a feud with Seth Rollins and beat Seth Rollins, who is also feuding with Roman Reigns and beat Roman Reigns. And here's the thing about it, that he didn't exactly win per storyline. He got helped, or was helped by a lot of outsider interferences. Goldberg winning this, it seems like if, Chris Jericho does try to interfere, I think Goldberg will most likely take out Jericho for good. Or, What if Jericho does not want to help out Kevin Owens at all? I think here's the thing. I think he will, and I think Jericho is the heel, the heel in this case because he's amazing at what he does. They don't want to really turn him face, so he's going to be the guy that is going to cost Owens the championship. Simply put, WWE officials are planning to Owens lose the WWE Championship to Goldberg in a squash match. You're going to ruin Owens' dignity. I don't know what else to say, man. His status in WWE is going to go really, really low. And, I mean, at this point, when you think about it, it's not really an embarrassment to lose to Goldberg. The guy beat Brock Lesnar, right? But this guy's Kevin Owens, man. Like, you've put so much on him for a long time since, last summer. Unfortunately, you haven't capitalized on it, but to just throw that away, I don't know. I think the squash match could work if Jericho somehow gets involved. That'll work. So Jericho is going to be a guy who interrupts this thing and be looking for, make sure you look for that at Fastlane as well. It was reported that Kevin Owens has a fantastic relationship with WWE officials backstage, so any plans about how to book the match with Goldberg will be run through creatively with him. A squash match does a great deal to continue Goldberg's momentum heading into a match with the match with Lesnar at WrestleMania, but the one who needs to come off looking strong is Owens, which can be done rather easily at WWE Fastlane. The new information is the match between Goldberg and Owens is expected to be really short. However, the longer the match goes on and the longer he can compete, the more legitimate Owens will look as a top guy in WWE. If Owens is crushed by Goldberg in 2 minutes, then he'll look like just about everybody else. I would have him actually be able to compete against Goldberg. I would have him, just jump out of the box and start beating the crap out of Goldberg, and then Goldberg, possibly takes him down, maybe spears him, and he gets out of the ring. Right, and he stays out there, and Goldberg tries to pick him up, right, and then Owens counters with something, and it looks like he's almost about to beat him. He almost is, and then he does lose. Eventually, he's trying again, and then Goldberg kicks out, and then have it go on for a little bit longer. Kevin Owens is starting to sort of beat the hell out of Goldberg, and he does have some sort of game plan there, and then Chris Jericho somehow does get in, interrupt the match, and the referee saying you're not counting fast enough. Let's say Kevin Owens does, possibly hit a senton or something like that, or a frog splash, and referee doesn't count enough, for Jericho to be pleased enough, and he gets in the ring or on the apron and says, why the hell aren't you counting, and then let's say Owens does possibly hit Goldberg with something, and he's covering him, but the referee is being distracted by Jericho. Or Jericho or Owens goes to the referee and tells him to break it up, and then Goldberg attacks from behind. You can, it's a very simple way of going about it, but it's a good way of going about it, and that's how it could work. Here's a twist, though. Owens needs to be in that match, obviously, for at least 5 minutes. At least. Here's my thing with it. I think we're all assuming that it could just be that quick, and WWE might just put on a 20-minute match. But here's another thing. I don't think they're going to put on a 20-minute match. I think they're going to save that match, especially for WrestleMania. So it's almost obvious that Owens is going to be losing, but it's almost obvious as well that he's not going to be losing in a good fashion. He's going to be squashed. The squash is a squash either way. And I hope that he does get interrupted by Jericho, but he also gets a chance to actually defend himself against Goldberg. And Goldberg's going to have to sell that, okay? Now, after that, he can feud with Chris Jericho, who can put over Owens on his way out of WWE and solidify himself as a bona fide main event star on WWE programming after WrestleMania. Goldberg versus Owens can be beneficial for both men, especially since the odds are that Brock Lesnar walks out of Orlando as the WWE Universal Champion. WWE just needs to remember that there are two men in the Goldberg versus Owens feud, not one. But here's another thing. Do you think WWE worships, or do you think WWE pays their respects to Kevin Owens over Brock Lesnar? No, they don't. So that's the thing. In terms of those plans, it seems like it'll be another squash match. Do you think it'll be a good squash match? There have been good squash matches in history. So far, a squash match is just pretty much a guy who topples another guy in literally a couple minutes. Not even a couple minutes. Maybe a minute to two. And This is why it's concerning with Kevin Owens. He hasn't been booked really good, and he hasn't really been looking that good in terms of, his character. Hopefully, they understand that, but hopefully they also understand that he is and was the longest reigning Universal Champion as well. In terms of, other matches at WrestleMania, we also got news on a possible women's match with Trish Stratus to do battle with Charlotte at WrestleMania 33 for the belt. It seems like those phone calls from Vince McMahon and WWE to former, superstars was directed to some women names, to some women wrestlers. The WWE is looking forward to make WrestleMania the 33 one of the best ever. And they already have a lot of people that are on this card. Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair could be another. Remember when we had Asuka versus Mickie James? I can see Asuka and Charlotte going at it sooner than later. That's my prediction. That's probably very obvious, but nobody's been talking about the women's division, and I think that'll be a fantastic match. In terms of this match and Trish Stratus returning for Charlotte at WrestleMania, it also puts out the story that Charlotte's unbeatable. No one can beat her, just like Asuka. Trish Stratus comes, loses, puts over Charlotte as well. We have men, who are going to be featuring at WrestleMania: Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Kevin Owens, and Jericho. The women's division is rumored to get some legendary wins on WrestleMania 33. According to the original plans for WWE, they have, Charlotte defend the title against Bayley Banks and Jackson, a fatal four-way match at WrestleMania 33. However, this is just a placeholder if WWE fails to secure a much more legendary match for Charlotte at WrestleMania 33. And the much more, interesting match is Trish Stratus. I can't even say her fucking name. Trish Stratus and Charlotte. Trish Stratus, I'm just going to say Trish. Trish versus Charlotte is going to be for the championship belt, according to the sources, while the mentioned fatal four-way match at WrestleMania 33 is already going to be a great match, and a battle with someone like Trish Stratus screams more like the true WrestleMania vibe. Plus, if Trish is able to wrestle like she used to, then it will be compelling, intriguing matchup for Charlotte, and possibly an interesting, combination of styles. They were actually also calling, according to Sportskeeda, that another candidate in case Trish is recovering is the fellow legend Lita to possibly face off against Charlotte as well. That's another possibility. It is worth that the WWE is not desperate to have big names for the women's side at WrestleMania 33. The Fatal 4-Way match is already exciting enough for WrestleMania. It really is. The women's division has seen a resurgence of some sort in recent years and has enough names to keep the WWE fans' interest and glued to their screens. I wouldn't say that in terms of the way they've been booking it. Certainly the talent is there. WWE doesn't see it. Apparently they need 4 or 5 point glass numbers, because apparently their glasses aren't thick enough. And plus, WrestleMania 33 has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the men's side. Besides the aforementioned Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 33 is also going to have Lesnar and Goldberg and possibly Cena and Orton. That's not happening. We're going to see that tonight on SmackDown. You think they're going to put a match that they would put on WrestleMania for free on SmackDown? For free. They're doing it because they're getting it out of the way, obviously. It's almost obvious. And, there are also rumors that Batista may make a return for his old buddy Triple H at WrestleMania 33, but if fans really want or wish hard enough, there just might be an appearance by Kurt Angle of some sort of WrestleMania 33. Looks like Rollins and HHH is still happening. With just a few months away, WrestleMania 33 will just be the final time for fans to see Trish Stratus and Lita wrestle. What about against together? Or what about against each other? I don't know about that. And, before I end this off, this has been a pretty long review now. Didn't want it to go this long, but Seth Rollins and Triple H is still planned for WrestleMania. We already talked about this. I'm going to get this into very, very briefly. Triple H tweeted out Samoa Joe. If you're not on notice already, you should be. Samoa Joe is exactly where he belongs, the main event of Monday Night Raw. Samoa Joe taking in for Seth Rollins and, being part of the storyline and, replacing, you know, uh, this feud with some needed steam that could have been lost because Seth Rollins is injured, quote unquote. We saw on Monday Night Raw that Samoa Joe will be a major force moving forward, although there is no telling who he will fight at his first pay-per-view match at WWE Fastlane. Here's the thing about that: it was supposed to be Seth Rollins. It does not look like it's Seth Rollins. He did beat up Roman Reigns last night on Raw. In terms of who he's fighting at Fastlane, it seems like you know he should be in some sort of match, and Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns is already involved together. I think Samoa Joe, I don't want to say that he's not going to be part of that, the card at Fastlane, because he should. But it really is questioning who the hell is this guy going to face at Fastlane. And it is questionable who he could face. Roman Reigns will battle Strowman. Seth Rollins won't be back that quick. Triple H sent out a tweet saying that Samoa Joe is where he belongs in the WWE right now. This is a huge break for Seth Rollins. He missed WrestleMania last year due to tearing his ACL in his knee and was in danger of missing his second consecutive WrestleMania this year. ACL, MCL, meniscus. Since this is the biggest show of the year, missing 2 in a row could have killed Rollins' momentum as a main event star. Plus, the fact that Seth Rollins was fighting Triple H on the show meant that it was going to be on one of the top matches of the card. Now, with rumored matches like Undertaker, Roman Reigns that have already been announced, and Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, the WWE would have 3 marquee matches with the Big Show versus... Wait 1 second. Oh, my bad. Matches highlighting the Big Show with Rollins versus Triple H. It's not the Big Show who's competing. It's the Big Show, meaning WrestleMania, the grand stage of them all. Taker, Reigns. Undertaker's always in the 3 top main events. Taker, Reigns, Goldberg, and Lesnar, which is for the Universal title, right? And Rollins and Triple H. In terms of the WWE Championship, at this point, it does not seem like that's a marquee match that they would use to promote their event. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But this, and here's one more thing. All these guys are on Raw, by the way. Anyways, this, rumor, which is set out to say, that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, or Seth Rollins and Triple H will still be happening. It says right here that Seth Rollins obviously took to Twitter thanking everybody. From the sound of it, it looks like Rollins was not as bad as originally feared. While his last injury was catastrophic and kept him out of the ring for almost a year, he looks to return much sooner this time around, and fans of the Architect have to hope that things start to look up health-wise for the young WWE superstar. This is still planned. I hope it still goes, and I hope that we see Rollins very, very soon. This just proves to you that, Rollins may as well just come back sooner than later. Now, in terms of for SmackDown tonight, what we can expect on SmackDown, that's mostly all your news for WrestleMania. SmackDown tonight, we have Randy Orton versus John Cena. And I'm going to tell you some of the potential preview for SmackDown tonight. It seems as if, the chamber matches between, Orton... Or Orton is not in the chamber match, but Orton is part of the whoever wins the match at the Elimination Chamber is who he faces. So the 6-man elimination match in the Elimination Chamber: Wyatt, Ambrose, The Miz, and obviously John Cena, AJ Styles, and Bray Wyatt, who will all be involved in that matchup. It seems like Bray Wyatt will be the winner. Now, as for Tuesday's top SmackDown match with Orton and Cena, this is what Shane McMahon tweeted out yesterday night at 8:43 p.m. Tomorrow night will be huge. The hometown of WWE Daniel Bryan, and for the first time ever on SmackDown Live, Cena versus Orton. #yes. A SmackDown match, I don't mind these guys fighting at a SmackDown match. To be honest, it is a main event for SmackDown. It's not a main event for WrestleMania. Some of the potential news and spoilers tonight. Charles Robinson, loving my stylish new footwear. Looking forward to being back for WWE Elimination Chamber in less than 2 weeks. He's been injured, and apparently he suffered some sort of injury to his leg. He tweeted out a picture. This was at the Royal Rumble. There were reports that he was injured. He did tweet this out 30th January 2017, 2:33 p.m. Um, in the women's division, it seems like, it says right here, and SmackDown could be adding another wrestler to their women's division, which we don't know of yet. It seems like Tamina Snuka has been competing on the main event card in a tag team match. She's advertised to team up with the SmackDown stars, including Nikki Bella. SmackDown streaks, we have Carmella, who's probably going to continue her. I don't know why they're doing this, to be honest. They're doing this with a lot of superstars. Possibly, they're, another squash match over and over, And it's really useless. It's becoming, you're exposing the squash match element, right? You got a home stretch for the Elimination Chamber build. And by the way, I did not think about this until I just read this. Elimination Chamber is this Sunday. Yeah. How epic is that? We're getting back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, but, very, very close together pay-per-views from WWE. So, ladies and gentlemen, expect a lot from SmackDown tonight. Orton and Cena. We got, I don't know, also, by the way, they did abandon the Dean Ambrose and Miz segments on Raw, or on SmackDown, not on Raw. What the fuck's wrong with me today? I can't even speak properly. Sorry, guys. My brain is totally dead right now. But, I've managed to make a 40-minute review anyways. But, the match on SmackDown, in terms of Ambrose and Miz, it seems like they just left that in the dust. They just moved on from it. And Ambrose took the win over Miz. Renee Young and all this crap, like with Maurice and slapping the Miz, and Daniel Bryan getting insulted, and the Miz or Maurice slapping who's the Renee Young. How did this all just wipe away? Like, I don't understand how they just took this out of the picture and started with the brand new feud. I don't even know who these guys are feuding with. I think I believe the Miz was on commentary last week, and obviously they need Miz and Ambrose to help promote the Elimination Chamber. So it is a tough thing for SmackDown because they need quick momentum, and they need people and guys to help put over the Elimination Chamber and promote that show. So I understand that they're not having individual storylines, but I hope that something does come out of this, that maybe Ambrose and Miz's feud will increase at the Elimination Chamber, and one of them says that you cost me winning the title, screw you, I want to face you on SmackDown, or something like that. So hopefully we get to see that tonight. If you did not see my preview for Raw, well, who cares now, right? But anyways, if you did not see my videos from last week, I made a video every week or every day from last week. Please make sure you check that out. I did talk about Owens and Goldberg at WrestleMania, or at Fastlane. Seriously, man, I'm fucked up today. Make sure you watch that video from yesterday, which was the Raw review, which is what I labeled it. But make sure you check out, that's Owens and Goldberg at Fastlane. I had news on Jericho leaving soon in May. I had news on The Undertaker, who was supposed to retire 4 years ago at WrestleMania 28, who didn't. Also news on the Rock and Roll Express, who are in the WWE Hall of Fame 2017, not 14. Cannot speak. There's also, rumors about... This is, honestly, I don't think this is going to happen. Kurt Angle reveals which wrestler's legend told him to sign with WWE. And Kurt Angle, this is a totally different story, but Kurt Angle will most likely not be on, he most likely will not be at WrestleMania or anywhere near WWE for a long time. But anyways, that's the outside story. I've gone way too far at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all later. Thank you for tuning into SmackDown Preview and the Raw Post Show. SmackDown Pre-Show, everything SmackDown Pre-Show on this show, and every single week you can expect this kind of stuff. Make sure you continue to tune in, subscribe, share, click that bell, click those likes, comment, but please be nice. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Thank you for tuning in.